What the fuck happened this week in gaming? Come on now, we've just had Gamescom. That means loads happened this week in gaming. Pull up a pew, you donut. Gamescom is Europe's massive annual event that runs in Cologne, Germany. Over the last few years, it's become very Jeff Keelified.
All shall love me understand.
And it sits awkwardly between his Summer Game Fest and Game Awards shows. So, to be honest, the majority of the announcements are just check-ins for games that have already had their big moments, their grand announcements. But there's still some juicy morsels in there. Let's run through some of the highlights. Opening Night Live kicked off with Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Yes, Call of Duty as a highlight, I know. The coverage did drag on a bit, but the highlight, for me at least, was the moment that they announced that the full campaign can be played alone or in up to 4-player co-op. That's new for COD and kind of a big deal if you like to play games with friends. The studio also announced a new endgame mode that's tied to the campaign, where they trap you in some kind of sinister infinite loop while they pick at you for cash. That's the Call of Duty we know. This year's iteration looks like it leans into distorted landscapes and slick movement, which could work out really well for the multiplayer side of it. That movement focus could work out really well for Battlefield 6 as well. They announced this week that they're toning down their movement. We should end up with two very distinctly different games, and that's a good thing. One of the few surprises at the showcase was LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. LEGO Batman has been done to death, and I'm not sure that there's that much more humour that they can mine from it. But it looks like this one takes a big step up in gameplay, taking heavily from the legendary Arkham series of games. They're pitching difficulty settings as a feature, which is a step away from the typical LEGO experience and reinforces the idea that they are fishing for fans of the dormant Arkham series. Yes, it is dormant. No, we don't acknowledge Gotham Knights. Hollow Knight Silksong finally got the release date that the fans have been clamoring for at every event over the last 6 years. Just relentlessly clamoring. Like Hollow Knight before it, it's a labour of love with hand-drawn art and Metroidvania sensibilities, and it's coming out in just a couple of weeks' time on September 4th. So stop clamouring. The big opening night show closed off with a real announcement, a sequel to Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Xhong Kui, a new protagonist and a different Chinese fable. The announcement includes PC, PlayStation and Xbox, with no mention that the Series S needs precisely 1 year of extra work this time around. Knows what's going to happen between now and launch. The trailer has some kind of terrible and quite funny dubbing that we can only hope makes it into the final game. Codswallop. Elsewhere at Gamescom, there's been very positive feedback for the playable demos of Cronos, Resident Evil Requiem and Ninja Gaiden 4. There's tons of indie games, hands-on impressions for the Xbox Ally handhelds, and basically a lot more stuff than I can cover in this punchy little roundup. Nvidia's GeForce Now cloud streaming service has a fairly substantial update, bringing their 50 series Blackwell technology, and with it, some impressive new features. GeForce Now was already legitimately a fantastic way to play games. I've covered it in a bit more depth before. Now Nvidia are bragging that you can play Overwatch 2 at 360 frames per second with input to photon latency, that's the time that it takes for you to press a button and then see that action on your screen, of just 30 milliseconds. Quite a bit more responsive than a PlayStation 5 Pro sitting in front of you, at least in Nvidia's ideal circumstances. You can also get super high fidelity 10-bit HDR with full chroma, the best color accuracy that you can hope for with gaming tech today. Perhaps more importantly, they've also announced an install to play feature that gives subscribers their own space to install things, drastically expanding the library of compatible games from something like 2,200 up to over 4,500, and paving the way for a more bespoke PC-like experience, mods and such. That's actually a massive step in bridging the gap between PC gaming and GeForce Now. Less rosy news for anyone in the States looking to pick up a PlayStation 5 as the lineup of consoles gets a price increase. What a wild hardware generation it's been all round. These things should be cheap as chips impulse buys by now. And to be fair, I'm pretty sure Sony would much prefer to be moving in that direction as well. Is what it is though. There's a change of leadership at Bungie. Pete Parsons steps down and Justin Truman takes over. Job moving and shaking isn't something I'm typically interested in reporting on, but Bungie have had such a clusterfuck of a year with Marathon's stolen art and the Destiny community in turmoil. It makes this one kind of interesting. Good luck to Justin turning things around there. Nintendo held a direct to showcase Kirby Air Riders, and it's been playable at Gamescom as well. The game is something of a weird choice from Nintendo when kart racing is one of the only genres that they've actually already hit on their new console. But the title is reasonably distinct from Mario Kart World and Sonic Cross World and frickin' Garfield Kart and 1,000 other kart games. It's just mechanically very different to those, with no button to accelerate or brake, and a quite unique way to tackle corners and boost. Still, it certainly looks like another kart game with a lesser roster of characters, so we'll see how it gets on. That's all I've got for you for this week, but there were loads more games in Cologne, so please get mad about the ones that I haven't covered and comment in all caps fury. Then calm yourself down and come back next week. See you then.